The only heating was just the one big open fire in the living room. For heating upstairs, well, there was little fireplaces which were never used, but to go to bed we had heated bricks which were put into the oven during the daytime. They were absorbed the heat, wrapped in a flannel, and put into the bed, and that was our heating.
And then about in the 1950s they came in with Rayburns. Rayburns was the big thing. They were a big square solid fuel heater. And they still use them. They're very good, very good. Because they were a little bit of everything, the Rayburn. I mean, that heat at the house, there's a radiant heat come out. But you cooked on it too. It had a hot plate and it had an oven, and you cooked on it. And then in more recent times, people were using the hot water, good heat a hot water tank and circulate radiators for heating their own other parts of the house.
What happened was you had a bunker in the actual kitchen, and that was another thing. The coalman used to come with his horse and cart and lift the 100-weight sacks onto his back and climb all those stairs, then come into the kitchen and dump this sack of coal into the bunker, and the dust all rose. And a housewife's job in those days really must have been terrible, because whenever the coalman came, the whole place was covered with dust. So again, entirely different way these days.
Well, the range was a huge thing. It was going all day. Then on a Friday it was taken apart bit by bit. Newspapers laid the floor in this range, all the accoutrements off it, the oven door and whatever, cleaned and black-leaded and emery papered. And we would take my mother an hour, maybe more, for this weekly clean of the range.
Every mantelpiece had wally dugs and a chiming clock and a tea caddy and probably another tin that they kept pins and buttons and what have you. And any mail you happened to get got stuck up behind the clock on the mantelpiece. Then you had your windowsill for the jaw box. You would know it as a sink. The jaw box was, you would maybe have a couple of flower pots on there with your flowers, and underneath your sink you would have a cupboard with your scrubber and your bucket, and maybe a tin box with your brasso and your dusters for doing your brassos on a Friday.